Hey guys, it's Tiny Tom Logan back with another video for you, and I thought this would be a good video to start off with the Q&As, and that is pretty much, where did it all start? Now many of you may have already been looking at the black and the white cases, and the video title for this originally was going to be Why Am I Racist? Because people always say I like white cases. And when I was trying to explain it in the first take of this video, I kind of ended up going on a little bit of one of my tangents. And it kind of, I thought, we'll do it this way instead. But the white and the black cases are all here just so that I can kind of show you one white case in particular that I'm allowed to show you, but not necessarily point out and stuff like that. But anyway, I just wanted to bring them all in here. Also, just to let you know, I do have the white Prodigy now. We've got the NZXT 810 in white. We've obviously got the matte black one. I've also got the gunmetal one in the garage. And then right at the very end, we've got the black Stormtrooper. Not sure what this one is, but anyway. If you don't know, you'll know soon. I can talk to you about this properly on the 19th when the NDA gets lifted. But anyway, we're back to the Q&A. Where did it all start? Right, well, basically, in 2005, and it literally is that soon, I bought my first laptop. Then kind of moved on. I had my laptop, which I was just using for kind of normal eBay stuff like everybody does. Then I water cooled an Xbox 360. That was when my kind of modding kind of stuff comes from. And then I bought a desktop, and then that kind of evolved. And I did start to kind of put a computer together, like a custom computer together. Sad thing is around that time was when my mum died. And that's SJL on the front page. SJL is my mother's initials. And yeah, it was quite a difficult time for me. But anyway, I knew I wanted to build a custom computer. So I went to a company, and I had quite a bit of money, because my job was okay at the time. Didn't really have a lot of outgoings, and I went with a big dollop of money to a company, and I went, right, I want this case, which is Lanley 343. I had it laser cut. I had the internals powder coated. I had it anodized. I think it was either 15 or 1,700 pounds I'd spent on this thing in total anyway, because the case wasn't cheap in the first place. But anyway, we went in and I spent an immense amount of money on stuff. Obviously bought other bits and bobs to go with it. There was a lot of money I bought from this one company to do stuff with it. That was without any electronic bits. It was just the water cooling and stuff. Anyway, when the case turned up, massively excited. It was crap. The cuts were horrific. It hadn't been done well at all. There was water patches on the anodizing. Powder coating was all lumpy. It was horrific. And essentially what happened is I sent it back, got my money back, told them, look, I'm not happy, sod off. Sent everything back. Through that, and this is where the kind of story starts. That's when I first met Jim from Overclock 3D. Now, Jim was the founder of the site. He's the guy that started it all in the very first place. I was a latecomer. And essentially, I met Jim, and he'd been having problems with the same company, and there was a few Lanley V2000s kicking about that he'd had powder coated that he wasn't necessarily 100% happy with. And I picked one of these up dirt cheap, like less than the price of a new one. And it had a window put in it, and like I said, the powder coating and stuff done. So it had a little bit of money spent on it already, but obviously I was getting it much cheaper because this company, and there was a couple of dimples and stuff and holes in the bottom that weren't right. But I could have made it work. But anyway, I bought this real cheap, thought I'll get on with that, try and make a good rig out of it, and then I'll build, my own custom rig later on. And I ended up with what was then evolving into heaven and hell. And to tell you the specs back then, it was a P5K premium. I had an E6600, an 8800 GT. I think the power supply I had in it was either 550 watt or 650 watt. I had a Thermachill PA 120.3 in the bottom. DDC Ultra pump. Mountain Mods reservoirs in the roof, but they were the Mountain Mods circle reservoirs that bolted into a 120mm bay. And I had red coolant all going through it. I put mirrored acrylic everywhere, literally all on the doors, the floors, everywhere I could put it. In the lower section, it was all round the radiator, in the roof of the radiator. I covered this thing in mirrored acrylic. But that is with the red LED fans that were on the radiators. It made the red immensely bright without being pink, because they were LEDs and not cathodes. In the top section, I had white cathodes. Yeah, sure, there were cathodes back then. Couldn't really get many LED strips back then. I don't even think they were available. But I had white cathodes in the top, and that's where the name Heaven and Hell come from, because there was such a distinct kind of white-red theme. And the only bit that kind of confused it a bit was the fact back then I'd gone with really bright, deep blood red coolant. But when you saw the reservoirs at the top, basically there was a 10mm ring around the outside of the reservoirs which picked up the light from inside. But then in the main cylinder section of the reservoirs, where the coolant was bright red. And it was such a stark difference, though, like a big red circle and then the white ring around the outside. It looked amazing. I loved it anyway. I had mesh over the top of the reservoirs. I'd done quite a bit to it, really, especially considering it was my first kind of custom build. Anyway, you may be thinking, where did I learn all this? Well, I was a mechanic when I first left school, and that's where my kind of all my engineering kind of qualifications and all that kind of stuff comes from. And basically I was heavily involved with building kind of like custom cars and stuff like that. It was for friends. We were putting engines in where they shouldn't have been going. I don't want to go too much into it, but yet we were ripping engines out of things and putting them in places where they shouldn't have been, and tuning them, and it was just something I did. I loved it, and I've always had this ability to be able to take an idea in my head and pretty much deconstruct it in my head and try different colours and stuff. And it's still what I do today. I'll go to bed and I'll be imagining a build before I do it. It's normally why it takes me so long to do my own rigs, because I'm never 100% happy. How can I do this? What colours? And talking about colours, I'll happily spend 2 or 3 weeks making sure I get the perfect shade for something. Hellfire's radiators were about 5 different colours before I was 100% happy. The amount of times I had to strip those bloody things before we got that colour. And just to let you know how rare the colour was that we did just on the radiators and the water blocks inside the case. It was a 1994 Mustang limited edition colour that was only available in North America. That was quite literally how specific I had got with the colour for that. And it was amazing. I loved it. It probably would have been better if it had been used on the outside of the case, because when you took it out and it really popped, it was unreal. But anyway, that's how kind of in-depth I'll get with colours. It's one of the reasons why my interim rig is still sat there in a Corsair 500R, because I'm still not 100% sure how I'm going to swing with the 810 yet. The idea of Orca's coming back at the moment. But anyway, we've kind of gone off topic. So I built Heaven and Hell, and then somebody else approached me, would I build them a rig? I kind of said yes. A month or so after that, I got approached about M&R, and that for me was where it started. I made my name with a really kind of good rig, and then things kind of evolved from there onwards, really. Now, a lot of people kind of ask me, how am I meant to get sponsors? To be perfectly honest with you, I didn't get sponsors I'd been doing my stuff pretty much solidly. I didn't get given anything for free for about 18 months, maybe 2 years. It was quite literally after I'd started working with Overclock 3D, I got my first free stuff. And both me and the industry, I don't want to say hate, but everyone's after something for nothing. Everyone. You'd be amazed the amount of people that send me messages, oh, you get all this stuff for free, give it to me. Whether they're being serious or not, that's the way everyone seems to think everyone owes them something else. Oh, I want to start reviewing. How do you get free stuff? You need to show that you're actually any good at it first, sadly. And another problem is there are people out there that have got their own businesses and companies and stuff like that, and they're actually not that good. There are some people out there that are starting these things as a hobby and are really good at their job, and they're struggling to get stuff. And it quite pains me, actually, because that's normally when I'd like to try and start helping someone kind of open doors and stuff. But I have to kind of take that step back, because as soon as I start to endorse someone or go that extra mile for someone, if they then mess it up, it makes me look bad. The politics in this industry is unreal, and I mean completely unreal. But so I started doing custom rigs anyway, And just after M&R, James from Overclock 3D come to me and he said, look, I'm not happy with that other company. They're still buggering me about. This was like 3 or 4 months later. Basically, open checkbook, I want a black and red rig. He said, don't care how much it costs. I want the best red paint you can put on a case for me, whatever. Do you know what I mean? Don't care what it's going to cost. So I said to him, what case do you want to use? And he said a TJ07. At that point in time, it wasn't really my favourite case. I still don't like them now. Just because of the way they're laid out and stuff, I didn't like them. Still, like I said, still don't. But I basically, we did the outside of the case, House of Colour Candy Apple Red. We did a very trick base coat, where not only was the base coat quite a sparkly pearl. Generally, pearl was quite fine, but I'd gone quite thick with the pearl on that. We spent I can't remember, 2 or 3 evenings mixing up, paint to make sure I got it absolutely right. But it was also gold. And then when you throw the candy apple red over the top, which is basically a transparent colour, not only do you get the sparkle in the background, but you also get the kind of gold shimmers every now and then as well, and it looked immense. We did gloss black inside. We didn't do it with powder coat. We did it with proper paint. It was wet sand polished, so it was mirror. It was absolutely perfect. Anyway, I sent that to James. He was unbelievably happy with it. And a long story short, obviously I was doing a lot of work with cases at that point in time. So there was stuff I was doing for them. There was stuff I was doing a lot of kind of corporate stuff. There was a few cases I did that never made it to YouTube that I was doing for people to match their cars. I did a TVR, specific TVR colour. I did another case where we'd done it British Racing Green with like a tan interior to match this mate's Jaguar. I'd done stuff that it was like the specs of the cases on the inside, which is one of the reasons why it never really made like the YouTube channel. But we'd done like big flashy cases on the outside that were sitting on like office receptions and stuff, so that like the computer case was kind of part of the advertising for the company when people had walked in. I'd done loads of stuff like that. Anyway, James said to me, do you fancy doing some reviewing? And it was just, that was literally kind of the point where it all kind of snowballed, because then in 6 months later I was managing the company. I can't remember how long after it was I got approached. The first time I got approached by one of the bigger websites in the UK, and they offered me a job, and I turned them down in quite a public fashion. I actually ripped matey's business card up, placed it in the toilet and said loyalty can't be bought. And it basically said, I don't want to take your job. And that was when things really kicked off with like me and James properly. And now we kind of, he's now got a family, and he's got 3 young kiddies. A woman that he's been with forever, he might as well hurry up and get married to her. So he's taken kind of a back step now, and I'm kind of the face stroke running the company and just kind of getting on with it really. And I know I'm massively lucky to be doing what I'm doing. And do you know what I mean? I'll never kind of forget that. It's one of the reasons why I'm still here. It's because I actually like what I'm doing, and I like, the company, and the fact that I pretty much get on and do what I want, and I don't get any grief. And obviously YouTube's kind of just mushroomed, and you lot all seem to like what I'm doing as well. But I'm not under any kind of impressions that it's going to last forever. Someone may have come about someday that does things better, and you start following them a little bit more. But I'm enjoying my time now, and as long as you lot keep watching, then I'll keep making the videos, basically. But that, in a nutshell, and it is quite quickly, is where it all kind of stemmed from. And I can honestly trace it back to that Lanley 343 case. If said Lanley 343 had been done properly, I never would be doing what I'm doing now. So they say things happen for a reason, and I honestly believe, that literally was the catalyst for me to go, right, I can do things better than this company. And that literally is where it all started. And do you know what I mean? I really do. I kind of look back and smile, really. But anyway, black and white cases. You will be seeing the, that's my phone. You will be seeing the 810. I've got some more bits coming for it. I'm literally only just waiting now for, I suppose I can say it, as long as things go alright. I've not had the confirmation email back yet, but I should be getting my white fittings from Bits Power, and that was something I asked them to do me a long time ago, and things have just started to kick in, and they've actually been kind of shown for the first time at Computex, and I kind of look at those and it makes me feel quite happy, really, because I had a big hand in that. But anyway, so yeah, 810, waiting for my white fittings. This may end up getting adorned with the name Orca, because I'm going to try and keep it black and white. The 600T didn't work out in the end. The way that you have to curve the front of the case with the films, it had gone off to get white carbon wrapped. We couldn't, as it goes around the corners, there's a slight incline in the case, and as you wrapped it round, you could see that the lines weren't quite lining up, and you could see that there was a slight, gradient into it where we were having to stretch it around the corner, and I wasn't happy with it, so basically I sacked it off. Many people wouldn't have bothered, but where it was mine, I wasn't 100% happy with it, so that idea got sacked off. So yeah, Shane, we're going to be using this one for now, but the thing is, when I start doing rigs, especially once I start getting the kind of the taste back, I'll end up wanting to do something else. Like, I'm probably going to end up using this for something as well. So we'll see. This may end up being the Nürburg rig Mark II, but we'll see how I kind of swing with it once I'm allowed to talk about it. But anyway, yes, another Q&A. It ended up being a long Q&A. I'm sorry that we did this one, but I thought it would be a good place to start, and also it meant I could talk about that or show that again as well. So this is Tiny Tom Logan with another video for you. Out.